us and lose social votes. We've been over this many times before.
That's true. In so much so that in North America, we started trying to trick the TSM fans by saying which team isn't going to win today.
Yeah.
And guess what, TSM fans? Your reading comprehension skills failed you. So
they just saw TSM and opposition, and they said TSM. They didn't even read the question.
I see TSM. TSM, yeah, TSM's good. I like TSM. They're going to win. I'm going to click the TSM button. TSM do real good. Go TSM! Basically is what I imagine a good component of that is. And Dunk, if you're listening from TSM, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I like you, Dunk. You're a good fella.
Dunk is great.
Dunk is great. We're going through operator bans, and I mean, assuming that you tuned into the first two matches, maybe you didn't. But if you tuned into the first two matches, there's a little bit of new faces popping up on the operator bans. Flores and Nook had not been banned out here on this channel. Mira and Azami had been. Azami all the way back in match number 1, Mira in match number 2.
Correct. I believe Bolo asked for a pause, so we'll just take a quick one for him because...
Oh, well, if Bolo asked for it.
Yeah, if Bolo asked for it, I mean...
If Bolo asked for it, then we have to.
In case you're wondering, yes, Bolo is playing right now. I saw that was the title screen at the bottom third of the screen earlier on. It says, when is Bolo playing? Well, he is playing right now. At least he will be in just a second. It might be he was the person with the audio problem, and maybe it has returned. I don't know the specifics, but it shall be resolved swiftly. And I don't believe we've had... Oh, I don't want to jinx this. We have not had a rehost yet. And I said I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to speak into existence.
Please.
But like day one is usually rough.
Please.
And it has. I'm so Please,
don't
please
even
don't.
say the word.
Please don't. I swear. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I'm like really proud and happy with like everything, and like production's been great. They've been helping us out. Like everything's going way too smooth, one could argue. Except for the games. The games we've had have not, I mean, they've been good, but it's like a struggle for both sides, going OT, going max OT. It has not been a breeze in that department on the B stream. But on the A stream, however, as you mentioned, it's been a quick day for them.
They're flying through it over there.
Yep.
We have absolutely no idea why we are currently paused, and we will
it's very simple.
tell you.
It's because Bolo asked for it. And he said now in chat he's ready, which means, look, the game will begin. It's like what Bolo says is law.
So here's what I will say.
Okay.
The first time that I saw Bolo was yesterday at breakfast.
Yeah.
And he had what appeared to be half of a Kleenex shoved up his nose.
Oh, okay.
Because of a nosebleed.
Oh, it's the climate, I believe. He has that.
And I will tell you, I have actually seen quite a number of people with the same thing.
Yeah.
In fact, at breakfast this morning, I saw 2 just random citizens sitting, presumably with nosebleeds, as they had Kleenex in their nose as well. Who knows? Maybe that was the reason for the pause. We have not been told why, and we will, again, we'll tell you if anything changes. We'll get underway with round numero uno here on Cafe. TSM starting on defense. You talked with the new players on TSM. Walk me through the 2 new additions to Heroic.
All right, so the Heroic editions are very interesting, I should say, because like looking at before Stage 3 of EO started, it made no sense to pick up Mello and Yum, and especially it made no sense to pick them together. They're unproven, they have no experience, they're basically straight out of ranked and FPL and whatnot. Sure, Yum played for that Delta Project team with Fabian for a few months, but like they didn't really get anywhere, and they're very unproven for a team that's been making majors in Heroic. But essentially what it comes down to is that Mello and Yum is a very aggressive entry duo that gets enabled by Grizzly and Uno on the supportive cast. Then you have Benjamaster being the +1. He gets to do whatever he wants essentially, kind of like Mowgli from Wolves. But Majuma and Mello are very aggressive players, front runners of the team, and they usually get stuff done first.
You got to decide whether you're going to say Yumi or...
I'm going to have a hard time with that one because I call him both all the time when I play with him. So
How does he say it?
I think he's the kind of guy that says, I don't care. See, he's not really helping me, right? Let's say Yume. Yume?
Sure.
You have a preference?
I don't care.
Let's say Yume.
That's fine with me.
Yumi. Let's go with Yume.
That's literally what you said at the beginning.
I know.
The first time I heard it, I was like, okay, hold on a second here. Yumi is a cat. Merc! Merc is down. He goes for the jump out, but Uno was prepared for that. The Claymore placed in anticipation. TSM don't even get into an engagement. They've already lost a number.
Of course, Merc being a very aggressive player for TSM, always the first in battle, always dying or getting that kill initially. Gasher, new member from TSM, plays that anchor position for them. Very smart player in his positioning and decision making. It makes sense to put him inside a Baker desk here to use that Kushima launcher, but he got shut down by a grenade from Benja. 2 kills in the round for Heroic.
And suddenly, this attack is shaping up quite well. There's a Monty still for them to deal with. Monty's powers grow the more that you see the defenders fall away because you can isolate them and there's not a lot of crossfire potential. There's the Monty trapped in the corner right now, and Achieved sees it and he goes, nope, nope, I don't want to be in there anymore. Ooh. Man, Heroic is really hitting their marks. Bolo the only kill so far for TSM. Snake now to clutch out. A quad kill from Uno. It all started with that Claymore going down. Heroic just bulldoze their way into the bomb site to take round 1.
You got the Uno, huh? The Yume Uno? The Uno?
You've screwed up my brain.
No, I'm very sorry for that. I do apologize. I did love the Monty being brought round to really try and control TSM. I'm a huge Monty fan, as we all know. I love to play the character, watch the character, and I think it's a very big showcasing of player's skill and how well you can play the operator as well. It's all about positioning and decision making because you can't really fight back in most cases as the Monty. You're just gonna extend out your gadget, Le Roc as it's called, and walk around, give information, and your teammates also have to play around it, otherwise it's not gonna fly. And Heroic played a very nice slow-paced round. They got the Claymore set up, opened up the windows, applied pressure, then Monty was just messing with the Shashanka, forcing out those the fire grenades rather from the Streamer launcher, and then the grenade just came flying on in. It was easy for Heroic because the Monty gave them so much cover, and it really worked well. But it's not going to be the round forward for Heroic every single time because already now on the following round of round number 2, they're off the Monty. Now Melo is on the line instead. Again, trying to compartmentalize and make TSM stand still or feel that pressure of the gadget, but in a different way this time around. Also because it is indeed a different bomb site. So Heroic doing good flex work so far, whereas we see TSM, they're bringing out Achieved on the pulse, a very stable operator for him. He's gonna give you that information, and you have Merc downstairs with him to utilize that C4 combination with the scanner for info.
There's an E1D that will go off. I will say, I like the flexibility immediately visible from Heroic. Time and time again, we tend to see that 417, that DMR, get brought out by either Twitch or the Lion. It's a gun that's shared by the two. No Vector, with a lot of bullets in it, by the way. That thing can be a bit of a bullet hose, but instead, you want the DMR that hits like a truck. Just a stylistic choice. Bolo, the only player who got a kill for TSM before. Okay. He's not going to be able to get anything this time. He and Merc first to die. Heroic already off to a good start in a 5v3.
Now the question comes, Heroic, can they hold their ground right now? Because sometimes in EOL, they get these big leads, and then they get a little bit too excited, and they walk forward too fast, and they start falling apart. Slow things down, drone it all out. You basically, with every single kill you gain in Siege, you also get time on the clock, because there's less things to worry about, less positions to clear, and less map control you have to really take into control. So, take the time you need. You got the lead already, got 2 kills on the board. Benji got both of those.
Heroic with a lot of tools at their disposal so far. All 7 kills for the team in the hands of 2 players. Melo gets on the board. Down goes Gasher. TSM seems to have very little fight in them at the moment. Smoke, or Snake rather, playing from above. And Benja's waiting. Good lord. This is a mercy killing so far from Heroic. TSM, seemingly with all those delays on their end, the tech issues, yet to spawn into the server. Achieved gives his position away, he gets a single kill. Melo picks up number 2. Heroic dominating through these 2 rounds.
I mean, look at how passive Heroic played. Even in that 5 versus 1, they're just sitting still. Only 1 member was even moving on the map, and that was Uno trying to deliver the diffuser in toward the bomb site itself. And when he got shot down by Achieved, well, they know his position, and all 4 members, they moved towards that location, and Melo ended up getting that final kill for the team. Heroic right now just really thriving off the initial man advantage and just snowballing from there by holding such a tight net around TSM. And it's kind of hard right now if you're a TSM fan, or if you're a player rather, because what do you do against this? It's not like TSM are hiding in corners and getting droned out. No, they're playing in the quote-unquote default expected positions that they've been practicing time and time again, but they're just losing their gunfights straight off the bat. Bolo playing that pixel spot inside a piano, he does it every single time normally, but Benji just walks in Cigar, finds one kill, and then kills Bolo right after. It's like, what do? You simply just need to win those, and that's normally what TSM does. They win those individual gunfights, they hold their ground successfully. But right now, that's where they struggle. Europe events, we didn't speak much about it. It's Flores and Asami from TSM, and Nook and Mira from Heroic. Pretty stable operator bands on both sides on this particular map. One question is like, do you leave the Valkyrie open or do you target ban it? In this case, it's on the board, it's being played by Achieved. The Mira is a very big target ban for most teams because it's so hard to attack this map against it. That's why it makes a lot of sense for Heroic, who's on the starting side on attack, to get rid of that defender so they can get some rounds on the board, get that lead, and get comfortable with the map. Big payout so far. Round number 3 is underway.
There's another E1D that's used to no effect in terms of killing. The first one that was used in the previous round was in a same spot. Nothing really gained from it outside of the map control, maybe some knowledge as to where somebody is. You lived through the worst of the Lion meta, my friend. You know how powerful those EE1Ds can be. Potent force for finding the players off-site, which TSM has in spades at the moment. Managed to breach the building on Heroic's side. It's a common setup by Bathroom. TSM favors this quite a lot. The deployable shield over there. And then usually an avenue to get into the back bar. Merc, the first kill. Down goes Joom. And by the way, it's Joom.
I saw. Joom.
I had to go to the referees.
Yeah, we did.
I had to go to the referees because I was like, I came in thinking, okay, pronunciation for this player, I think it's Joom. And then I heard you say, like, Humi.
Yeah, I've always called him Yumi, always.
Yeah, because J's and H's or whatever, or J's and Y's or whatever are the same that you're used to. Which is why there was a period of time where Fabian was calling Ying Jing.
Yep. Same issue there.
Yep. That's okay.
We live, we learn, right?
Variety is the spice of life.
Stable round so far. It is that 4 versus 5 in favor of TSM with a minute to go. This time it's Uno and the Ossa to bring out some flexibility of his own. Normally Uno plays the flex role for Heroic, but of course you need a stable heart breacher in most rounds. In this round in particular, there is no heart breach because we're attacking the top floor bomb site. It's not necessarily something that you need to bring, it's more of a choice. Nate goes out, does a tiny bit of damage onto Gasher. Not much can be found for Heroic right now.
Talk about the patience from Heroic, which is something on attack that you don't hear get brought up all that often. The clock is just continuing to work against them. And now it's Grizzly under fire from multiple angles. Bolo, long range, subdues him. Benja's in a frost mat. Things have gone from bad to worse. And oh my! The stab of your fingers! 2 bear mat kills. TSM win their very first round on Cafe. Comes in round number 3 and comes flawlessly as well.
And that looks like a lot more of a stable position for TSM. And that's kind of what we expected on the previous defensive reading, is that you play your default positions and you play them well. That's the result you kind of get. Didn't see it the first time, but we saw it the second time around. But the issue for TSM now is that you lock that bomb site for the next 3 rounds, or 2 rounds counting this one. So you can't go back there. You need to go either reading, mining, or go downstairs to kitchen again, where that was a really brutal opening round for them. And Melo, right off the rip, before even seeing the bomb site, chooses to hover the Monty until a discussion can be made whether they should do the same kind of attack or change things up. That's a very big debate for pro teams is, well, the first time we did this attack, it worked really, really well. That is normally going to mean that the opposing team of TSM, they're going to keep that in mind. They're going to set up everything in order to counter what you just did the last time, which is why most professional teams, they will not do the exact same thing 2 times in a row. It's why we're seeing these attacker repicks coming out from Heroic. They want to go for a different approach, at the very least have different tools for the job than what it worked last time. And I think it makes a lot of sense because TSM, they can read into this, right? They're a very experienced Cafe team. They're not going to fall for the same thing twice, or at the very least, they shouldn't.
It's all those pings.
A lot of pings.
A lot of pings. The Monty was hovered, as you said, talked about. It ultimately was not brought out. There's a different shield operator that's on the board. That's the Osa from Uno Meister. Oh, jump outs did not favor TSM before, and they won't do so again. The trade back, though, as Mello manages to punish Snake for the jump out before Achieve down below in delivery. Knocks out the teeth of one of the members of Heroic. Puck off the board. Did you see what charm was being used by that player?
I did not, actually. What charm was that?
Happened to be the head of a penguin.
Oh, look at that. What player was it?
Uno.
Oh, really? Uno's representing? I actually, it's always like fun when I see like previous teammates and stuff. Like I bumped into Uno at breakfast yesterday.
He's dead.
And he's dead.
The charm didn't work.
Charm didn't work. Should have used the Interra charm instead, perhaps. Maybe next
He
time.
wouldn't even spawn into the match.
He wouldn't make the cut. Did you see Uno's tweet that he made about G2? So he was wearing G2 flip-flops, and he was like, "Third time I'm carrying G2 to a major," basically. And social media was loving it. Because yeah, G2, they're not here physically, but...
Have you seen G2 lately? Somebody's got to get him here.
Yeah, exactly. So Uno took that upon himself, and he brought his shoes with him that has their logo on it. 4 versus 3. Although Achieved is not long for this world, he's 1 HP left on that bar. Nate goes out, takes his shield, second one, covers the drop, and here we go. Heroic onto the bomb site.
Doesn't matter if you're 1 HP, you can still do some serious damage. And just like that, Heroic have breached the freezer. And they'll start to target the TSM players. Achieved on the back, trying to get back into the bomb site. Will not be successful. Merc does some damage. Out goes one of those Shamika launchers as well. The Molotov starting to burn at the feet of Grizzly. Down goes Gatcher.
Oh.
He gets taken out by the fire, and it's Merc with a great round to give TSM their second in a row, and it will tie it up. Through those first 2 rounds, Heroic looked dominant, but TSM seemingly found themselves after a slow start.
And this is the day 1 of groups. This is the first game for all these teams, so we always have to keep in mind that they're getting used to the setup and getting comfortable, and a slow start is to be expected from some of the players and some of the teams that are here. Day 2 and day 3 is really where things start kicking off for real, I would say, but Heroic struggling in that round. They lost the opening kill by that nice trade from TSM, Snake jumping out, Achieve swinging that delivery door as well. That worked really well for them, and when you're defending Cafe, you have about 2 or 3 defending operators that are typically someone you could spare. For example, Snake and Rooney, once you put down your gadget in prep phase, you can actually just go and take gunfights. If you die, not much comes out of it. Same with Merc on Frost. So you have these expendable operators, whereas look at the attacking side, no matter who you kill on attack, it's a massive value loss for them. Either you kill the Heartbreacher, the Lion Flex Gadget, or the grenades from either the Sledge or the Diana. And even if they're attacker repicking, you're going to lose the Flank Watch, you're going to lose Soft Reach on Sophia, you're going to lose the Twitch drones and the smoke grenades. So trading 1 for 1, especially on Cafe, is extremely worth it. If you're watching that previous round, you're like, why did Snake jump out the window? He's obviously going to die. Well, it's because Achieved was there with them and they trade 1 for 1, which is usually always worth it if you're a defender. So TSM, they can keep leveraging this value of operators and just go for those aggressive initiations early to mid in the round.
Activating shock drone.
In terms of sides on this map, before we got in, so historically this has been a very favorable map for TSM. Heroic, you said it's a bit middle of the pack.
Yeah, it's about middle.
If you crunch the numbers, by the way.
I did crunch the numbers this time. And
Who is the upper hand here, the defenders or the attackers?
typically it's the defenders. Of course, Arbiter Bands play a very big part in that. But typically Cafe has always, I believe, I don't think there's ever been a time where it was like significantly attacker favored. But nowadays it's rather close. It's like a 55-45 type of scenario. So rather close.
A controversial change to the game if you talk to some different coaches, but attacker repick really benefiting some of these very defender-sided maps.
Yeah.
Allowing attackers more opportunities to pick out the ideal composition and the ideal lineup to deal with the problems that you tend to see.
It is true, and I mean, You said it was controversial. That's because that there's so many back and forths on it, right? Some people think 5 is fine for a Tiger repick. Some people think it should be removed. Some think it should be 1 or 2. Ultimately, if you're good at using the Tiger repick system, you always have... Oh, no.
Not again! That's the 3rd bear mat!
Ooh.
The 3rd bear mat. Oh, no, no, no. Achieved almost losing his life to Joom.
Yep. It's Uno instead, though.
Uno down for the count. As the one was followed by Mellow. Snake putting in good work. Gasher now in on it as well. TSM in excellent position at the moment. And another flawless round for them. Wow. Well done on TSM's round. 3 in a row.
I have to say the pacing really shifted on round number 3, which is when TSM got that first flawless victory on top floor defense on Cocktail, where like round 1 and round 2 went like in a pretty normal fashion, right? We get like a pretty chill first half of the round, then like a mini execute happens, attackers that take control into the real execute. But in round number 4 and number 5 that we just witnessed, it's like nothing happens, everything happens, one member is alive, and then the round is over. Heroic is taking a long time to get into these initial stages of a round, and TSM is doing a really good job just simply staying alive. They understand that they don't need to make all the first moves, and if they do make the first move, they do it together. Like we saw, Snake and Achieve going for that peak together. We don't need to be isolated when you're TSM right now, because that's where Heroic they thrive. They're holding angles, they're waiting for something to happen, they're waiting for TSM to aggress. So as long as TSM does that calculatedly, they can get out of this ahead. And they've done so the last 3 rounds in a row, 2 of those being flawless. It is Attack on Cafe, it is favored to be a defender. So going 3-3 is not the end of the world. Going 4-2 in favor of TSM, not that bad for Heroic either. It is going to be a close series, and it has been so far, besides, of course, the flawless defenses from TSM.
Well, TSM really starting to fire up the war machines here. Kills spread out quite evenly. You wouldn't realize it that Bolo is actually the top performer on the squad right now, but he is indeed. Lots of content that's being pumped out for Bolo, Shaiko, and Nesk. They seem to be the 3 stars that have been promoted in the run-up to this major, and
yeah,
the content pieces that we've been watching. For good reason.
I was about to say, like, for good reason as well. I know that every single Latam fan and Liquid fan is waiting for Ness to lift the trophy in recent history. It hasn't happened yet, but everyone is waiting for that moment because he's one of the players that the community feels deserves it the most, playing for as long as he has, as well as he has for as long time as he has. Yeah.
This is a very slow round so far.
It's Heroic's playstyle right now, right? They're waiting for TSM to make a move. TSM isn't making a move, so what happens? It's a standstill. And there we go, it's a team kill because Yum says, you know what, I'll do it myself. Takes off Benji Master, and sure, the nade that Benji tossed right before getting team killed then finds Achieved as well.
If TSM's not coming to me, you're coming to me instead.
What a mess.
Below the first kill for TSM, and despite this, Heroic are behind, again because of that unfortunate team kill.
Yep.
Both Mellow and Joom making their debut here on the international stage. Uno, the next one, fell. TSM showing us why they have been considered such a strong team here, but great damage to be done from the DMR in the hands of Mellow, and say goodbye to Merc.
Still got a minute to work with, but Heroic, they don't have the tools, no nades, no flashbangs, so TSM, they can play on these hard walls, undestroyable areas, and play those crossfires they can establish. The bomb site is up top, so this is what we're going to be working with, nothing else. It's a hard position to be Heroic. They got to just find the kills and just walk the bomb site somehow.
Grizzly is just waiting for a move, but TSM's not giving him a single inch. It's not far off of Mellow. Ever patient as Bolo in his position. He could rope around behind them. Snake will be in a direct collision course. And there's the damage that's done. Leaving just Mellow up for Heroic. TSM wins 4 in a row, and that's the first half in the books.
It's a huge one. And I mean, TSM now, they're comfortable. With this side swap, they're going to feel really good about the individual performances and winning those gunfights, which is going to play a part because now TSM has to attack and it's very frustrating to attack on Cafe. And we see it. You're on the window repellers as Heroic, you're dropping that red hatch into Cigar, and you gotta try and pick off people in tight corners, behind deployable shields, behind reinforcements, and you look away for 1 second at the wrong time, all of a sudden they swing out, and you die instead. And you're also, so many attackers are gonna be in the same closed space, and it's why team kills like what happened with Yum and Benjamaster, they occur sometimes, because you're so close to one another constantly. There's not a lot of safe space once you drop that red hatch. That's why Monty is such a stable operator in Cafe, because it grants you a bit more mobility, especially inside of that piano room. Heroic will start on reading bomb site. It's the most versatile and dynamic one, I would say. You can extend up above, you can extend down below, you can hold top floor for a brief period of time, enable that pulse to grant information, use those C4s as well, and then just hold on. Again, let TSM do the work first. And Merc, he's showing that he knows the game plan of Heroic. He's going from the Nomad onto IQ to combat the information game that Heroic is bringing.
Well, Nick, it happened again, by the way.
It happened again?
Welcome, Stream A.
Welcome, Stream A.
Welcome, Stream A, to our wonderful channel. They are speedrunning the first day of groups.
That's wild.
The Team Liquid sandbox game, I cannot imagine what the scoreline was on that again. I actually don't know what it is. I'm not going to spoil the results for you because you're welcome to seek them out for yourself. But
damn,
they're back over here, and we're only halfway through this matchup.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of people are excited about the TSM Heroic matchup, so in a way I'm like happy for them because to me, this is one of the highlight games of the day, right? Both teams have made 2 roster changes. The first international tournament with this exact squad from both teams. Both had like a rough year overall with ups and downs. And now in the opening game for both of them, they get to play off on Cafe, which statistically favors TSM, but Heroic, they're willing to go there. I like this in Benja, hiding in the corner.
He gets droned, yeah, now has to pop back up. Soft walls, yes, but he gets away just in the nick of time.
Sees the same slow start for TSM because what's clear and what's not. Snake is making his way in throughout the map. He is the entry player for TSM, but he doesn't have that much support, no information. And Milo gets an easy kill there. Nice shot onto Snake, that's Ash off the board.
Well, I mean, the TSM favored Cafe at the moment, but also a defender-sided Cafe. And that's going to benefit Heroic as they now sit on defense for the remainder of this matchup, unless we need overtime, which you and I have for the 2 matches that we've seen so far. The A-Stream matches have been absolute blowouts. Our matches have been nail-biters between the teams, and don't get me wrong, I'd always much rather sit and cast a nail-biter than a blowout, but I just find it very funny that it's been so decided by channel.
Yeah.
A-Stream matches being all the blowouts just sequestered, supposedly.
Bolo just walking on side. No info here from Heroic. He might just get a kill or 2 first.
How is he being able to find all this ground?
He's going through.
And he gets it. He finds Uno. Looks the right way. What? Flicks down onto Benja. He'll watch that laundry hatch. And there's going to be a drop. He gets slaughtered by Joom. Diffuser goes down all the same, so TSM will now be on the keep away. Joom is dropped. Looks like one player from TSM will actually go below. Achieved finds Mello and say goodbye. Joom is on the diffuser. He gets gunned down. Grizzly will need to be the one to clutch out. TSM looking for their 5th round in a row. Can they get it? 0-4 Grizzly is what seems to be the only obstacle. It's not much of an obstacle at all. 5 in a row from TSM.
I mean, look at how they played that. Merc is down below with the IQ scanner, can see if anyone's defusing, and Floorburn with the pistol. And a member of TSM on the window repel as well. The post plan is played perfectly from them, and they cover all the angles. But it all started off the back of Bolo, just walking through the bomb site, dropping that piano hatch, finding 2 kills, and stalling the smoke as well up above. Toxic Babes couldn't be used, Joom couldn't get any real value there, and Heroic, they're gonna take their time out now because they've lost the last 5 rounds in a row, and they're on defense now. If they lose any more rounds, we're looking at match point, then we're in a troubled situation. We gotta start putting some rounds on the board, otherwise it's gonna be over very, very soon.
Very, very quickly do we see this slowly fading from Heroic. Grizzly 0-5, That's something to obviously go back and talk about a few times, because we are now 7 rounds in, being unable to find the scoreboard. It's still not great when your team is winning. It is very much worth talking about when your team is losing. Heroic seem to have so much swagger and confidence in their first 2 rounds, and then after that it just fell apart.
You are correct. I mean, whether you're winning or losing, you gotta get kills on the board. You can always argue that you can IGL, lead your team, drone, play supportive operators, etc. But more importantly, when you're in the situation of Heroic, where you're playing like 5 versus 5s with a minute left in the round, it's anyone's game to get a kill, because you've done your job. You've breached walls, you've used your drones, etc. It's not like you're droning your entries in and they die in the first 10 seconds, or they just swoop the board for you. Every single member of both teams have had a fair game at getting confrontation and gunfights. It just happens that Grizzly hasn't really been a part of them in a successful manner as of yet. A lot of people criticized Bolo in the last year on performance and whatnot, but for Stage 3, he really showed up statistically in the NAL, being the highest. Ooh, and he said, ooh.
Mello at least gets 1, but you can see the frustration on his face. Immediately moving the hand up and touching his face, being quite unhappy with that one.
I mean, when you're prone on the ground like that and you get the first kill, you shoot Gasher as a second member, but then you gotta start standing up. You go into this fire mode where you're not gonna be accurate. When the DMR especially, not the ideal situation. And he might have thought he had to kill the injurer. Turns out he didn't. But it's a 1-for-1 trade, like we said earlier. Trading a Rooney for Sophia means you clear half the soft clear explosion from the attacking side, and you do half health to Gasher. So when you look at it, it's a net positive for Heroic and for Mello, so the frustration levels shouldn't be too high for them. It was well done for them, it was good work and good value. Bolo to sit this one out and watch from the drone point of view.
You trade out Bolo, who's been the superstar for TSM in this match. Much criticism was thrown at the feet of Bolo for his disappearing act. Same with Achieved, as both of them went through their very noticeable slumps. Adding Gasher and Snake onto this squad has rejuvenated TSM as a whole. This is the team that finished first in North America in the NAL stage number 3. And I mean, over the last 5 rounds, they've shown exactly how formidable they can be. I liked the early gambit from Heroic. I like that they decide, you know what, we're already in such a bad position, let's try to knock them off their stride and do just that. Clearly there needs to be more work, though, as Grizzly's the next one in the line of fire. The alibi at Joom gets in on it. Down goes Gasher. Benja joins as Merc gets the kill for TSM.
That's going to surely create a pause here for a brief moment, because both teams are suffering casualties. 3 versus 3 with these Runegate still being in the path of TSM. You need to start clearing this out before things get too hectic, because all of a sudden no one can do the job, then you can't quite get in. Achieved looking for a flank, possibly up the white stairs. That could be a defining factor for TSM if you can go unnoticed and if there's no barbed wire on the top of white stairs.
And there is not, so... No Legion on the board, so you don't have to worry about goo mines. No barbed wire there present at all. There's no barbed, in fact, 1 bit in the Heroic side. Nice play by Joom. And the roof is on fire, apparently. Heroic gets their very first round since round number 2. They desperately needed it. They call their timeout. They've seemingly settled themselves down. And they get back on the board. That could have been match point for TSM in what would have been our first lopsided game here on the B-Stream today.
Heroic not opting to go downstairs into kitchen. They're actually going reading, which they lost, into cocktail, which they then won, back to reading again. Whereas TSM, they started kitchen and went back whenever they could 2 rounds later after locking the top floor bomb site. So, bit of a difference in preference here between these 2 teams. And Heroic, well, didn't work out last time they went here, but they believe in the mission that they have in front of them. They got a bit of a more aggressive lineup this time. Previously, they had 2 C4s down below that could help, you know, Uno on the pulse. Now they just have the 1 C4 and a more aggressive lineup. Jaeger, Alibi, and Romai can all take really aggressive gunfights. Whereas Doom, well, he gets to play the smoke every single round, play on that back line, stall out, stay alive for that gadgetry usage of these toxic babes. And it's always one of those, like, when you think of Doom as a player, in case you guys aren't aware of his past, he's a very, very aggressive ranked player, an FPL player, and in Tier 2, Tier 3. But in professional play, he's been put in a more semi-flex support role in defense where he plays the smoke. And sure, on some bomb sites you can play really aggressive and play front forward, but on Cafe, typically, that's not going to be your role. You're gonna play on that back line. So while Doom has 6 kills, some of those of course being on the attacking side, he is limited in how aggressive he can be enabled because of the nature of Cafe and how long line of sight you have. And with the SMG-11, that's not really the best place to fight. So you let the alibi with the zoom scope do the work instead, and you sit back.
Petition to call him June with an M has been submitted, by the way.
Yeah, I like that.
June with an M.
Doom.
We're still caught up on this because I came in with June anyway.
In my defense, it was also by the referee said that he used to just say whatever you want to call me, you can. So that's where my confusion came from. Snake.
Nice pick from TSM. Very first one onto Benja.
Not that many uncontested opening kills here either. It's been a bit of a back and forth because there's been slow couple of rounds, but TSM, they find one and do damage on towards the second of Grizzly. Slowly building that lead. Snake again with no support, no drone work, just goes on in. It's a nice trade because Melo aggresses forward, but it didn't have to be that way for Heroic.
Gasher's an inch away from his monitor and also an inch away from Melo on that engagement. Joom now suffering a lot of damage. The only player on Heroic who is still in good spirits, if you want to call it that, is Uno. Everybody else finds themselves in quite precarious positions. Bodes well for TSM. They still have 2 grenades in the hands of Achieve, 2 grenades in the hands of Merc. A Claymore from Bolo can get set down should they fear a potential run out from Heroic, though as unlikely as it may be. Oh, huge Nitro Cell from Uno, and suddenly it's Heroic with the upper hand.
Massive C4. Now you gotta wonder, where's the pulse? What info do they have? And or you can also just act and go the bomb side because you know one member is off the side. Either way, TSM, 35 seconds on the clock. They can't really plant here because they can't cover more than one angle at a time because only Bolo is there as a gun.
It seemed like such a sure thing that TSM would take the round, Nick, but that Nitro Cell from Uno was so well played. The pulse still working his magic. There's an aid to go in. Nobody found. The last of Joom taken out by Achieved, and now inside a fireplace. Achieved will march forward. He's got an idea that somebody's upstairs. He's right about that. Achieved with the diffuser going down. It's all up to Bolo to watch over. The drop inside a laundry. Bolo knows it. That's a lethal pick. Uno boxed out of the bomb site. Nice play onto Achieved. Bolo versus Uno. TSM moving to match point if they prevail. Bolo sees the shoulder, peels off. Allow Uno to take up a bit more space. Oh! Nice shot by Uno. Good lord. Easily the veteran leader on Heroic. Plenty of time to hop on the diffuser. And that is one of the finest clutches that we've seen so far. TSM immediately calling for a timeout as they're watching their lead get bled away by Heroic.
Uno has 8 kills in this match so far, and he got those in 2 rounds. Opening round got a 4K as Ibana. This round just now, at round number 9, got a 4K as Pulse. So only for 2 rounds he's had any sort of value on the scoreboard, but he pretty much carried those rounds single-handedly. There's a C4 into 2 kills with the gun, and the thing is, Bolo wasn't aware of that tiny hole in the wall, so the angle he was holding through that rotate was a little bit off, whereas Uno, he already got 1 kill through that exact same hole. He knew the whereabouts of it, took that deep angle, and Bolo just walked on into it. Uno had a very, very rough year as an individual player. Ever since starting Heroic, he's been on that more vocal, leadership, IGL role, and whenever you play that, it tends to mess with your personal statistics, right? Especially as a non-native speaker. Uno is from Finland, so speaking and thinking as much as you are as a captain, as a leader in English, it does take a toll on your performance. You gotta sit there, hold an angle, translate, think, direct people, and you get swung. And that's going to, increase your reaction time effectively because you're focusing on other things. It doesn't come as naturally to you as a native speaker. So Uno has a pretty bad track record of Stage 3 of NAL. Bottom of the barrel for his team, like minus 22 or 24, I believe. But he's really showing up so far individually in these moments and in these rounds for Heroic. And now on the defensive side, we see Uno again on this flex role where he plays the pulls, he plays the smoke, he plays whatever the team needs really, allowing other people to shine whenever possible. Look at this, now Uno's on smoke, what does that do? It allows Doom to go onto Melusi and he can get more aggressive and get into those gunfights, which is where Doom shines as a player, and he's now allowed that freedom and that space. So it really is Uno plus Grizzly trying their hardest to enable Melo, Benja, and Doom as the aggressive young gunners that they are.
Attackers' objective is to locate a bomb and defuse it. Attackers drop the diffuser.
All right. Look at this lineup from Heroic.
Doing his best Daypack impression from Berlin Major.
Who, by the way, forgot that they'd won the Berlin Major.
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw that on Twitter yesterday or the day
Yeah.
before. Suddenly they just seemingly were unaware, blissfully unaware, that they had won the Major, which is just vintage.
I guess stage 3 was so rough for Rogue, they forgot they had succeeded in the past. He's like, wow. Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Anywho, timeout taken by both teams now. No ripcord to be pulled should you find yourself in free fall. Doom in an odd spot. Both those hatches to be broken overhead, and well, the Melusi could be visible. He'll tempt fate over by the skylight. Back towards the hatch, a single bullet fired out. They know somewhat of where he may be, and look at this. Now, reading door is open too. Again, a lot of different places that he can be playing in. He'll scamper off. It's the defense of that bakery kitchen defense down below. Technically double kitchen now, but old habits die hard.
It's a very nicely played roam game from Heroic. It's very European style where you don't really roam to die and roam to fight. You roam to, waste time and kill drones. And look top left of your screen, only 6 drones remain for TSM, so 4 have been shot. And just now they figured out, okay, there are in fact no roamers from Heroic, but look at the time, 1 minute 22 seconds as the first Claymore gets put down. Now you gotta put a drone on red stairs, on brown stairs, on white stairs, then you gotta start the vertical destruction. These are things that are gonna take a lot of time. Now the good thing for TSM, they got both the Bog and the Sledge, so the time that, it looks like they don't have that much time, but they can double up on the verticality and pretty much gain that leverage back. So Heroic, they did their best, they're all staying alive. For TSM, they have the right tools to punish them back by having him in 22 seconds. You see it? Vertical destruction going off really quickly. Hatch open up as well. They can still go for a bakery attack if they want to, but this looks to be a backside freezer hatch drop like we typically see.
And there goes the yokai. 40 seconds left to keep those yokais in strong position. If there's a freezer drop, you'll have an idea as to where the attackers are coming from. There's one of those canisters going out, and now a smoke canister as well. Fire in the flames, all in the same area. Bolo trying to kickstart something for TSM. They won 5 rounds in a row. They have not had the success after that they've wanted. 10 kills to Bolo's name, looking to add towards that and get well above just the first level of double digits. Snake trades out a lot of his HP. First kill from Heroic comes in. It's Joom picking up 2. And the yokai needs to get into position to stop that, but they can't do it in time. Gasher gets the diffuser down. Snake retaking from above. The 2 new players from TSM. They'll be the 2 to watch over. Heroic has an advantage. Gasher takes out Uno. Heroic now losing out on that advantage. The yokai drone pops up in bakery. Joom knows that. He engages, loses the fight to Gasher. Still drunk by Grizzly's yokai. Now it's the Echo to take matters into his own hands, but Gasher is ready and prepared. TSM on match point.
Heroic did a good job at fighting with their guns, but the yokai and information utility was not used correctly. They didn't even know where the plant was going down. It looked like they thought it was going to be in that kitchen half wall, which would be a freezer drop execute. But because Bolo and Gasher rushed through bakery, that really confused Heroic as to what the exact game plan was. It was just chaos across the board, fighting left and right, and there was no real breathing room for the Echo to use his yokai drones to double check the situation. Grizzly, unfortunately, a little bit too late to move it around. Therefore, the plant went down. The post plant played beautifully. Even if Gasher went down inside a bakery, the last member of TSM is up above on that vertical destruction of the floor, which means the post plant is rather safe and very comfortable for TSM. And there wasn't enough time for Heroic to push up the staircases, so it was pretty much a done deal for the attacking side. That's match point. That's 6-4. Now Heroic, they have to win 2 rounds in a row, take it to overtime, and then they have a shot at winning. Or TSM, if they win one of the following 2 rounds, they take it in regulation instead. And Attacker repicks, I mean, I kind of love to see it. And look at this. We see Bolo on Ying. Not super common, but it has been done before. But we see the Thatcher, the Thermite, and the Ying all coming into play. Those EMPs will disable anything that might stop the Ying from executing. Bolo himself has flashbangs and smoke grenades to really create that chaotic effect of the execute itself. And I mean, if you're TSM, you can go for a straight skylight, super fast-paced execute, or you can take your time, go piano, go through that 1, 2, 3 process, and then eventually use the Ying. But what matters the most right now is that Bolo stays alive until they utilize his gadget. Otherwise, it's a wasted operator to be played.
Harsh words.
Yeah.
Harsh words.
True words, though.
True. Any truers in the chat? Any
True.
Any truers in the chat? We'll see what they say. I mean, I also don't read Twitch chat, so I don't. I try to maintain my sanity.
Fair.
As much as is humanly possible. Anywho.
This
is not necessarily the result that I expected. Still time for Heroic to push us into overtime, as has been the case so far. First layer of defense for Heroic is Joom. Gets thrown down and then takes a beating as well. Oh no. Is Mello going to go for the run out here? It certainly seems like it. Cut somebody down that might be hanging up on Repel.
He's there.
Can Mello do this? Oh, the waiting game.
He's waiting for the confirmation, because once he goes to the run out, he's going to get spotted. So let's make sure that he's there, and the opportunity's gone. Didn't go for it. Bolo Repel did. Would have been a huge kill otherwise.
I think Mello just got spotted for a second, too, when he ran outside. So if that's the case, they know that somebody from Heroic is down below.
See, normally Bolo does the entry job, but because he's found himself on the Ying, someone else has to take that job now instead. Merc using those EMPs, now he's, able to just go aggressive because he's just a running gun. Bolo has to sit still and wait for his moment.
And there's Snake by the Humidor. Shoot away and do some more caliber-based destruction. Exothermic charge going down onto the bathroom wall, or well, that's technically the back bar wall. Just by bathroom, where one of the players from Heroic is nestled in quite safely. Look at what lies below. Heroic could wait and get a deep lurker to go on in. Bolo sustaining damage. Those Candelas have not been used yet. Suddenly Heroic are on the scoreboard. Grizzly and Joom doing some damage. It's Uno as well. Almost everybody is in on this. There go the Candelas. Snake and Bolo on limited HP. Joom has been downed amidst the fury, but Grizzly picks up yet another kill. And it's Snake is the last one standing before he gets dragged down. And it's a flawless round. We will again need 12 rounds to settle this one.
I can't believe that's a flawless round. It was so chaotic on both sides. Candela's flying across the board, so many members taking damage. Joom got injured, but somehow Heroic, they end up with that flawless. That's the 3rd flawless round in this matchup so far. TSM, round number 3, round number 5, they got flawless in their defenses. And then, of course, we just saw round number 11. It was Heroic's turn. And the possible final bomb site here, depending on what happens, is going to be that fireplace mining. It's a very much of a one-off flex kind of bomb site for most teams. Usually when Mira is open, this is where you'd want to bring her. She's closed. She's not on the board. Heroic banned her themselves. They are bringing the Maestro for information instead, with, of course, Uno on the post as you do on these vertical bomb sites, because you can do it on first floor and C4 up. You can go in the basement and C4 up towards the first floor. Castle, stellar operator for this particular bomb site as well. You can help compartmentalize it in, kind of control where the attackers can come from, and create so many safe zones for you as a defender, because when you don't have Valkyrie on the board for that very mobile kind of information scattered across the entire map, you have to kind of just have dead zones. Okay, cast a barricade here. As long as it stays alive, we know we don't really have to worry about it. And once it gets destroyed, it'll create a sound cue of either an explosive or a sledgehammer that'll signify that somebody is going to be over there. So that's a great way to use Castle on this bomb site in particular. It's why it's being brought. And of course you bring that bulletproof camera. So information game is huge for Heroic, but now they have to act upon it and make the right decisions, and of course also win their gunfights. TSM are getting Bolo back on a fracking operator to enable his entering because it was so successful. I think that makes a lot of sense, while Merc can stay on that IQ and keep denying information from Uno.
We should just run a poll right now.
Okay.
We shouldn't even say, oh yeah, here, which team is going to win? We should run a poll saying, are we going to overtime yet again?
We should actually do.
Are we going to have 3 blowouts on the main channel? And 3 games of overtime over here. The thing is that you and I think we have a break after this match.
Well, that depends on what happens on A-Stream, doesn't it?
We do Cyclops versus M&M on the A-Stream, which I don't think is next up.
Okay. No, there should be a game between, yeah.
Yes.
And I don't think that game has started yet, so we might have a small break.
No, well, I mean, I think we're on a fixed schedule, are we not?
We are on a fixed schedule.
Yeah. So.
We'll be okay.
Still leisurely entry for Happen Fluke as they did the FaZe sandbox match. So, either way.
One tap to the heel.
Ooh, Joom now finished off by Achieve from above. TSM put together those 5 rounds in a row. And then it was heroic to storm back. 3 of the last 4 rounds have gone in favor of the Europeans. It's proving to be quite a defender-sided cafe. TSM with the very first pick in this round. They can break that streak. Give North America its first win in regulation so far here.
They could. Minute to go.
First win period, to be fair.
First win period, yeah, I suppose. Spoilers.
Is it period or period Okay.
I didn't catch that, I'm sorry. Let's see what they can do here. 40 seconds to go, Madden advantage for TSM. They can still make it work, but Heroic, usually in these later moments, Uno finds a way in. He has that C4 in pocket, still can do it once more. Last time was a double kill C4 to start it off.
There will be people who understand that, and they're going to absolutely hate it.
Okay.
Oh, nice read through the wall. Is Grizzly going to be able to get to the rescue in time? No! Merc is just too good. He almost gets Benja as well, or rather, if not him, somebody else. Uno down below has had great success with that Nitro cell. Achieved somehow. Naded Gasher. He needs to stop this plant in its tracks.
Oh.
Here it comes.
Gambles
Nitro
it.
cell out. It's on the wrong target. Now Achieved can get it down, but Uno can still go back on and start to shoot through the floor. They need to prevent this from happening, and they've managed to scare him off in the process. Hatch opens up. Uno down below, and TSM will vacate the premises. Uno back on to that heartbeat sensor. He knows how grave this situation is. A watch towards white stairs, daring someone from TSM to move a muscle. I think that's... Is that fate that Uno has resigned himself to on his face? GG's coming in from TSM, the utter disrespect. They know Uno's not going to be able to pull this off. Bolo manages to take him out. A great game from Bolo in particular. TSM gives North America their first victory so far today here in Sweden.
They do. And I mean, it looked really good for Heroic in the first 2 rounds. Then TSM really started showing up. It was back and forth. But ultimately, a win in regulation for them. 3 big points that they could really use. It's a great start for them.
Absolutely. Break is ready for us. So that means that we can get into the next matchup faster. Again, we know that today is going to be a long day for you. We don't want to keep you waiting. TSM topple Heroic 7-5. A matchup that was defined by flawless